So, session five, emotional regulation and the toll it takes to be continually in a situation where you're activated. So, welcome to co-parenting. Sometimes it's very difficult because your kids aren't going to wait around just because you're activated. They're not going to wait for their next cue or their next meal. So, you still have to function pretty high. And it's sometimes just one of those things where you see that person has texted you and you're off to the races in the rumination, in what did they say? What do they want now? I'm going to be upset for a while. So, firstly, all different strategies about getting a hold of your activation, and some of which is don't answer the phone or make sure that your texts and emails are screened by a close friend or a professional. That will help. Sometimes people tell me they say, okay, what did they say? And then from there, they can take the direction and not read into it. So, this stage of self regulation is really important because if you want to focus on being a best parent you can be and trying to get ahead of the game of your emotions, then you're going to have to really work with this aspect of yourself because you're actually having to function with someone that maybe broke your heart or who, if you initiated the separation, who is actually not functioning well. And maybe you feel guilty and horrible for them, or very upset with the situation that you had to end. But whatever the case may be, high emotions, needing to make decisions, needing to be rational. And here we are co parenting, the start of co parenting. And sometimes throughout the time you're co parenting, you're feeling this kind of intensity in your emotional state. So let's do a shift here because the goal really is not to never feel triggered again. It's to actually feel like you have a choice in how you respond to the trigger. And it's also for you to actually reclaim yourself in the midst of the pain, right? How are you going to adapt? How are you going to be the mom that you want to be, the dad you want to be, do your job, and keep a steady stream of collaborative people around you? That's going to take presence and honing in on trying to make this situation be the best you can be so that you can function the best you can function and your family gets to survive this, which they will. And the reason why I'm sure about that is because you're here trying to get this information so that you're not just going to wing it during this part, which has to do with what you can control and what you can reclaim and how your kids are doing. And where is your relationship with the co-parent and how and what parts are you going to strengthen? So we're back to the old thing of how do you deal with reactivity in general? So you pause, you take a breath, and you shift your attention to what you can control, what you can, and not meaning the other person's behavior, but what you can control in yourself. Because one of the things, your goal is trying to maintain a steady emotional person for your kids. That's the whole goal of this. And also what's left for you to process. Maybe that's why you're getting triggered so much. The trigger is just actually a reminder that you have some work to do. So, what was your role in the divorce? What are you feeling guilty about? What are you feeling resentful about? I think sometimes when people look at that text, that's what they read. I'm resentful because of what you took away from me, or I'm guilty because I didn't leave sooner and my kids suffered a lot, or I suffered. So part of it is do the work you need to do to look at the parts of your life that you feel like you've sacrificed. And whether you're a people pleaser or someone who withdraws and doesn't feel emotion, that there is, or someone who's really angry and you're feeling like, okay, as what I say in all of my divorce groups, there's a stage 6 of the healing, which is take a look at your personality and think about what part of it do you want to start working on that might allow you to have healthier relationships in the future. So I'm just going to review basic self-regulation techniques because I think it's really important just to ground yourself in every moment that you're feeling upset or triggered. And that might mean counting 1 to 10. That might mean breathing 5 times in and out at the same pause of the breath, pace of the breath. And it might mean also just taking a break and stepping outside, breathing some fresh air, and not interacting with anyone right now if you're not feeling stable and centered enough. If you feel like you can't have conversations with your ex because they don't go well and they're not productive, you might want to set boundaries in those conversations. Like, let's keep our focus on the kids. Can we take a moment and get back to each other? Or this doesn't work for me. So, all of those kinds of statements will help you reset yourself in your conversation for the next time, or even to just note your progress, that you can even say something, whereas before maybe you just shut down or cried. So, the other thing that I want to talk about is just the idea of affirmations and doing things regularly. So, even if you're not triggered, reminding yourself of all these tools and teaching them to your kids. I think they're really important daily habits to have, that you do reflection, that you think about how you're feeling, that you notice if you're too activated and how to calm down. And the affirmations is pretty much one of the things I said earlier in our conversation, which is um, because you're here, I know that you're working on the parts of yourself that you need to work on so that you can be a healthier co parent. And so the affirmation is, I am working on being my best person, or I'm stable, or I'm a good parent, or I'm recovering from this. Those are the kinds of things to remind yourself of is your positive actions moving forward. I want to leave you with one of the most important things is forgive yourself if you mess up. Forgive yourself if you break uh, break apart in front of your kids, lose it, apologize, show them how to regain self-control and to regulate, and then remind them of how you did that when you were upset, when they're upset. So this can be a strengthening of the family process. And the more that you are honest with yourself and speaking directly to yourself and working on your relationship with yourself, it's going to show up. So even if your other parent is just acting the same way, if you strengthen yourself and you look at what's going on inside of you and what you need to recover from, you're going to be a stronger person all around and it's going to show up. So thank you for being here. This was a really important session. So listen to it again if you feel like you didn't get everything you needed from the first time, and take notes because these are skills for life.